Hello and good evening. I'm trying to get everything set up again as usual. Whoosh. How's everybody doing tonight? Good, I hope. Trying to move a couple things around real quick. Need that over here. Scooch that up. Drop that there. Alrighty. Okay, so last week when we were live, I guess it has been a week, we finished up the Dreadnought. There are videos on the TikTok, so that is done. Let me get this to the right screen so I can see exactly what I'm doing. Good evening, Horde. How are you doing tonight? Like I said, I finished up the Dreadnought last time. The TikToks are up for that, or YouTube short, and all that good stuff. Doing alright. Tired. Been out in the sun too many times for too long, because that's my job. I am trying to have some happy hobby time. We're working on some D&D minis tonight, because I want to get some of these done and take them down to the old local game store and see if I can put them up for consignment. Love the trousers. Yeah, obviously KU fan, so he's got the KU trousers on. I got a couple things to finish up on this one. And then I've got a couple more ready to start painting, but just changing it up a little bit. Trying to get some D&D minis painted to get them in a local game store to kind of put my name out there as a local painter. Maybe start doing commissions. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I've got a little bit left on this guy to do. So we're going to try and get him finished up and then decide what we're going to work on next. Taking a little bit of a break from the Templars. We will get back to them. I still have a lot of minis left to do to get that army ready for the tabletop. But we're going to get there eventually. Gotta put the old man glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. What was I going to do? Paint this little bottle on this side. I was thinking like a bright green. Just for giggles. Trying to keep track of what chat's doing. Okay, which paintbrush was I going to use? I spent quite a bit of time during our D&D session going through and cleaning up all my brushes, getting them ready to use again, because I've kind of neglected that for a while. But I think some of these brushes are getting towards the end of their lifespan, and we'll probably have to replace some soon. Don't have my paper towels ready. All right. Doing a little bit of army painter paints. Need new brushes yourself? Yeah. Like every once in a while, you kind of gotta suck it up and go get some new brushes. But with all the detail work and whatnot that I've done on the Templars and whatnot, I've kind of jammed the brush tips into all sorts of weird spots, and definitely need to replace a couple of them because they're getting a little deformed, a little worn down. But it is definitely time to start looking at some new brushes. And of course, when I say I look for new brushes, I'll just be, going down to Hobby Lobby and picking some up. Because that's where I get my paint brushes from. Because Hobby Lobby brushes work just fine for what I do. Last fine gold maple, and I think I've done 12 orcs with it. Yeah. Like, I just keep getting these. They're called like Master's Touch from Hobby Lobby. That's what I have started using. I think they work just fine. There's all sorts of different flavors of Master's Touch brushes. Based on like what kind of fibers the actual brush is made out of. And like I said, they work just fine for miniature painting. I know you get those, brush knobs. Oh, I have to have my Kolinsky Sable brushes or I can't paint a mini. It's like, no, you just grab a paintbrush and start slinging paint on some models. I mean, yes, certain types of brushes help in certain areas, but it's not that serious. But getting his little bottle painted up there. But he's almost finished. I just need to do some little metal studs here and there, and he should be good to go. Okay, where is my Sycorax bronze? But yeah, like I said, we're just changing it up a little bit, doing some D&D minis for a change. Because it's always fun to get in there and paint something different every once in a while. Oops. Now, I'm not being, as accurate on these. Oh, thanks, Esco. Yeah, I'm really happy with how the Dreadnought came out. Super excited, at some point to, get that army done and actually be able to get it on the table and play a game with it. It'll happen eventually. But until then, we're just gonna keep painting some random minis here and there. And part of it is I do need a little bit of a break from the Templars, which is why I'm painting some D&D minis. And then, like I said, you know, it's a chance for me to, you know, see if I can get some of these in a local game store under consignment to try and get my name out there as a local miniature painter and maybe turn my hobby into something that earns a little bit of money, which would be nice. And I'll say these, I think they're made by WizKids, these D&D minis. And, you know, I'm not going to change anything on it, but the primer that they put on these minis sucks. The paint rubs off so easily. It's super frustrating. So, if you get the WizKids D&D minis, just be aware of that. That you're going to have issues with your paint sticking to them sometimes. But they're still fun to paint. Like I say, I've, you know, grabbed bunches of them over the years, and they've been sitting in random boxes, and I finally went over and grabbed a bunch of them, and I'm like, okay, I need to get some of these painted. Like, this is one I did a few years ago, just having fun with it. Never played an Aasimar Paladin. I'm currently playing a Warforged Paladin in my current campaign, but I just thought it was a cool mini, picked it up, painted it. Like I said, now I want to get, you know, some of these things in local game stores and get my name out there as a local mini painter and see if I can, you know, maybe start earning a little bit of extra money while I'm, you know, live on TikTok or Twitch or YouTube or wherever I'm live at, which is all three of those all the time. But the one that I'm working on right now, I actually did use, I never painted him until now, but I actually did use this mini in a campaign when I was playing as a changeling bard, and at certain times going into unknown places and needed to look, you know, bigger and tougher. You know, I did like the chunky pirate dude. Or if I wanted to look a little nicer, was a little pirate lady. So I would use both of these quite a bit. But I don't think they make an actual Changeling Mini. or maybe they have. That campaign was a few years ago, so maybe they've started making those. But I mean, it's basically an amorphous face, so you wouldn't even really be able to tell what she actually looked like in the campaign. But like I said, we're just, doing something a little different. Getting some D&D minis painted. Still not sure about these speed paints. They work, but I don't know. It's definitely a different type of painting. But I do know if I ever do another painting competition, I will not use speed paints on the model. Like, I do like how the model turned out when it's all said and done, but I was not happy with the overall process of painting it. But it's all good. It was a learning experience. All right. Well, I was about to say, I think this one's done, but I do need to do one more quick thing with my metallics that I meant to do while it was still open. So we'll go back to that real quick. Bringing up the edges of this little arm guard, brightening it up a little bit. All right. I say once that paint dries on the base, he's done. And so we're going to go ahead and get started on her now. Gonna go in a slightly different order on this one. I'm just gonna go ahead and paint the ground first instead of waiting until later. And I'll add like more ground details and whatnot later on. I'll say for like a little bit of rocky terrain, the speed paints do work fairly well for that. But trying to do larger areas or more detailed stuff, like I said, I was not happy with the results I got from the speed paints. But, like I said, just your little bits here and there for some ground coverage. It works. Still trying to decide how I should really paint this thing. But we'll figure it out. I'm going to try and do an actual layered skin like I did on the other one. I know it's much easier to do like a skin tone and a wash, and then dry brush with the skin tone again, but I've gotten pretty good results with layering skin tones. I'm going to try and make her a little bit lighter. But this is one of the nice things about, taking a break from, what you're used to, trying out new techniques, new styles of painting. Just experimenting in general. But the biggest problem that I've come across with these like D&D minis is they're so tiny, and I just don't have the brush control or skill, I guess, to be able to do the faces as well as I'd like. So, because they are so tiny, I will not be attempting to do her eyes. I'll just, leave them a little bit darker, darker paint tone. Because that's just how it goes sometimes. I guess one of the other reasons I'm doing these is trying to see if I can paint them a little bit faster. Just trying to challenge myself to be able to get more minis done a little bit quicker. Gonna need to go with a finer tipped brush. That was a 20. Yeah. We'll use the nice brush for the next layer. Sure, we get a little bit of water in our brush so the paint flows off of it nicely. Like I said, we're going for a little bit of a lighter skin tone than her compatriot that I've already gotten painted. Just trying to brighten some things up here and there. Now it's kind of hard to see with such a tiny miniature. I'd say that's probably the only thing I don't, I'm not super fond of with the D&D minis is just how absolutely tiny they are. But it's all good. It all works out. So we're just not trying to paint over everything completely, just trying to lighten up little bits here and there as we go slightly lighter shade into another slightly lighter shade. But she doesn't have a lot of skin showing, so I don't have to do as much on her. And just a tiny little bit of this Rakarth flesh. Hopefully it's not too dark and too conflicting with the other flesh tones that I'm using. But we'll see. Definitely really thinning this one out. I'm not going to use a whole lot of it. But just catching like a couple of little spots here and there. And I might do like a little bit of a wash on that. Just kind of even the tones out real quick. Let me grab my brush that I use for washes. That evens the tone out a little bit, hopefully. I'm working on some D&D minis right now. Just kind of changing it up from the Black Templar army that I've been working on. I just finished my Dreadnought, so now I'm trying to work on a little something else. Just for some fun experience of doing something else. Working on a Primaris Tech Marine. Sounds cool. All right. Just like super confused on how I should paint this. Let's see. Having a hard time deciding how I want to do this. But let's just experiment. We shall see. I've painted 5 other figures and 3 were Space Marines. I don't know how well this is going to work because I've got like this weird blob of green paint on the back of her head. Which I might have to go back in and do some touch up. But like right now, I'm just, slinging some Agrax Earthshade over the primer just to see what kind of result I get. Which is part of the fun of painting minis. You just, try new things, see how it comes out. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's always the fun of painting miniatures. Fortunately, most of this green spot's kind of down in the recess. So I think I can get it covered up pretty well. That is one of the neat things about, doing washes or contrast paints. Just kind of seeing how things turn out. Okay. Let's do... Let's try a dark green jacket with a blue dress. See how that comes out. Like I said, we're just experimenting with some random minis right now, so I'm not trying to make these, some of my best work ever. I'm just experimenting and having fun. I guess this is a really good excuse for to try and use some of these speed paints. And like I said, the last time I used speed paints was on my competition mini and wasn't super happy with how it turned out. but this is a much smaller model, so I might get better results and actually be happy with the look of this one. Trying to keep this little bottom edge trim piece free of paint so it's easier to cover up. Sorry I'm not being super talkative tonight. A combination of doing like super fine detail work because the model is just super tiny, and just, you know, being tired in general. Had a bar because it's been ridiculously hot here. I'm tired of being out in the heat, but that's my job. It's what I do. So just gotta suck it up and make it work. And of course, TikTok is being ridiculous as usual. So, sorry if you're watching on TikTok and we're temporarily disconnected. TikTok is being TikTok right now. But that's looking pretty good so far. So we're just kind of messing with speed paints and contrast paints tonight, just kind of seeing how this turns out. Because why not? Why not have a little fun with your miniatures and do some experimentation? There are so many pleats in this dress. It's ridiculous. But that should make it work with the contrast paints well. So normally I don't use speed paints and contrast paints for, large sections of models. Just not something I'm used to doing. But I figured, why not? Why not have some fun with it? Let's see. I don't know how well this is going to look on there, but like I said, we're experimenting, having fun. So let's just try all the things. Uh-oh. And not do that. When using speed paints and contrast paints, it's generally a good idea to let those dry. Before trying to do another color right next to them, right on top of them. That way you don't get colors bleeding into each other, because that can be problematic. But I'm just curious to see how this will turn out. I may go back and do a different color at the bottom of the dress, which I probably will. I'm not super thrilled with how that's turning out. But it's all good. I'll just let that dry. I'll paint over it here in a minute. Just not quite what I was going for. But now I gotta let it dry. I got too much paint out. But I was gonna do this over the hair. Did Agrax Earthshade, and now I'm gonna do some Guilliman flesh over the top of the Agrax Earthshade, just to see what happens. Blob of water on my brush. I think the hair's turning out well. For Little Miss Pirate Princess here. Let's see. What do we have? Frost Brew. Frost Blue, Hex Violet, Kraken Lavender, like I said, we're having fun experimenting tonight. Okay. Do that. And where'd my brush go? Here it is. Shouldn't need a whole lot of this. Really? And I don't know why I'm not getting any noise notifications from TikTok right now. Audio mixer. Primary microphone. Audio. Primary speaker. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. Highlight, record. It just is what it is. Sometimes things just don't work the way you think they're going to. But that's just the way it is sometimes. Don't know if that's going to be enough. But that should be once I water it down a little bit. Then your paints. Use a wet palette. I didn't like how the yellow was turning out on the bottom, so we're gonna do something a little bit different. Go ahead and paint over that. And this is probably going to take a couple of coats, but it's fine. You tell, like, some of the spots along the front are still a little bit wet. But we will get the coverage that we want. So sometimes it just takes a couple of coats if you decide you want to change the color of the paint that you're using. All right. I think that's supposed to be like some sort of dagger scabbard or something down there. Kind of hard to tell. But we'll get it taken care of. So I just didn't like how the yellow was looking, so changing it up to a purple. Yeah, this is not my best work this evening, but it's all good. We're having fun. I said we're doing something different, trying new things. Sometimes the new thing does not work the way you wanted it to, so you just go back through and slap some more paint on it and try something different. So I'm just not sure what that little thing sticking down. I'm guessing it's the scabbard for her sword. So we'll deal with that accordingly when the time comes to it. So I'm just trying to get this good purple coverage over the yellow right now, which, like I said, is going to take a couple of spins around the model. And these are not the best sculpts in the world, but it is what it is. It's a mini to paint. Like some of the D&D minis by WizKids look really good, and I can't wait to try and paint some of them. But some of them, it's just your super basic kind of meh mini. And that's kind of what we're dealing with at the moment. Not the most exciting miniature to paint, but we're gonna paint it. And yes, I will admit I'm being a little bit lazy on this one. But no, I will not be winning any awards whatsoever with this model. I assure you that. Okay. Now that we've gotten the yellow taken care of, let's see here. Grab our bit of a fancier brush. Just bring some of this up a little bit. Brighten some of the high points up. Do some edge highlight type of work on it. Paint is not cooperating tonight. But it happens. It's all good. There we go. Top of the dress up here, done up a little bit. A little cord going up the front of the dress. And let me see here. Hey Nahalia, how's it going? Having a good night, I hope. Good, finally relaxing. It's always good to relax. I am just making a mess out of some D&D minis. Not doing my best work this evening. But we're just kind of, experimenting, having fun. I've gotten, so used to doing the Space Marines or the Black Templars, which are, so much, it doesn't seem like they're a lot bigger. But when you compare, her to him, she's so tiny. So it's just not cooperating exactly how I want it to. So tiny. Alrighty. Take your time, no rush. I'm just doing this under the edge of the coat just to have some sort of color on it. That way it's not just white. Just kind of shadow it in under there. Because that is not a focal point of the mini. Yeah, it can be tough to give white character. It's just like, it's the underside of her jacket, and I don't really know what else to do with it, so, just painting it gray seems to work. But it gives it something other than just like a white liner for the jacket. I haven't set a gift goal. I never set a gift goal. I go live and waste time painting miniatures. If people want to send me gifts, they can send me gifts. This is my hobby time. I'm just relaxing. I'm having fun. Well, same, but the goal helps, and that we can contribute to that habit, or that way we can contribute to the habit. Yeah. So these, I'm painting these like I talked to you on your stream the other day. Just painting these to try and put in consignment at a local hobby store. So I just finished him up. I just need to do some work on the base. But put these guys in the hobby store at consignment, get my name out there, maybe start doing some other painting projects eventually. And I will be painting out of the pots a little bit right now because this is a airbrush paint, so it's already super thinned down. I know not everybody's a big fan of Citadel paints, but I said these ones are so thinned down for doing just a tiny little bit of painting. It's not that bad. Just to grab it straight out of the pot. You'll see all of the cardinal painting sins on my channel. Painting straight out of the pot, having too much water in my brush while I'm trying to paint, not going back and repriming parts that I didn't get right the first time. So I'm just going to smear more paint on it. I know there's no wrong way to paint, but some people, it just makes them cringe when you're, not doing it the way that they would do it. I don't know if you've seen the guy that freaks out on everybody about, teaching people how to do slap chop. I'm like, really, dude? Calm down. Slap chop is a legitimate painting method. A lot of commission painters do a lot of slap chop painting to churn minis out really fast. I don't think it's Rust-Oleum, but it is Sandable Automotive Primer. What I use a lot of the time. Because, like, if you have some scratches or whatever, it fills them in. It's just what I'm used to using. Not always, but when you're doing something on this scale, Sandable Automotive Primer is amazing. Yeah, I mean, I do have, I do have some mini specific primers. I'm not a total heathen. I forget if it's Pro Acryl or Army Painter. I don't know. I don't have any of the Citadel primer at the moment. But I do have a Rattle Can acrylic primer. in white for doing certain things. Yeah, but it's like I don't know what kind of primer they use on these WizKid minis, but the paint doesn't stick to them very well. So if you're painting these D&D minis, just go ahead and repaint them with your own primer. You'll be much happier with the results. Like, I don't know how many times I had to touch this guy up because paint just like wiped off of him. It was very frustrating. And I see a whole section of her dress that I missed with this lighter purple in the back along the side here. Just kind of bringing out some of the wrinkles and ruffles. And as usual, I'm doing all sorts of stuff that I normally don't do when painting. But it's all good. Try this one again. Like I said, I'm just having kind of an experimentation night. I've heard you're supposed to wash them in dish soap for it to adhere better. Yeah, I have no idea what to do with these. I mean, other than, just, repriming the WizKid minis. I don't know. But I did get very frustrated with the paint wiping off of them over and over again. Thank you for the tiny dining, Nahalia. I appreciate it. I appreciate all gifts that viewers send me. I'm sorry I'm not being more entertaining tonight. I'm just so tired right now, and I don't know. Oh, well, I do know why. It's because I work outside in 100-degree temperatures all week. And I've been melting for the last week or so. And did a garage sale out in 90-degree weather this weekend as well. So I'm just cooked and tired, which is why, a lot of my shirts don't have sleeves on them, because I'm tired of cooking. Heavy works on solar here in Arizona. Yeah. At least it's a dry heat. It's like we have like 80% humidity, and it's just, you just feel bleh after you've been outside for like 5 minutes. It's gross. So gross. Okay. I think I'm gonna get this mini done in like record time. Just because I'm like having fun, trying out different speed paints and stuff. I normally, like, if you've seen any of my other streams, I do not paint this fast ever. as I get my head in the way again. Trying to remember not to do that. Come on, paintbrush. Put the paint where I want it to go. Are you liking the speed paints? I'm excited to try them. I just don't have any models for. It's kind of a, kind of a love-hate type of deal. Like some places I love them. Like this jacket is speed paint. Like her whole coat is nothing but, just smeared some speed paint on it. I think it looks great. But when of course I put the model away. But when I used it on the arm of the mini I painted for a contest for a local game store, as like a bust, so it's a much larger model. I didn't like how it was turning out. So for like super tiny models, I think they'll work great. So like D&D, do either like a zenithal highlight or some slap chop on the mini. I think you'll be very happy with it. Anything larger than that or a large flat surface, I don't know how keen you might be with the results that you get. And like I said, I've used them on just a couple of minis, so I'm not, super familiar with them. I'm still getting used to them. The same thing with contrast paints. So it's like her jacket is a speed paint. The whole front of her dress is a contrast paint, a sigil contrast paint. The guy pirate is right here, and I basically just need to finish the base on him, but I think he turned out all right. Like I said, I'm just trying to knock a few of these out and talk to some of the local game stores, either put them on display with my info in case anybody wants minis painted, or even do consignment on them, see if they can sell the models for me as I paint them. And there's someone running around my front yard right now. It's probably my wife. Making the camera overhead buzz. Because my overhead camera is my cell phone. Why? because I am poor and it works. So I'm pretty sure this is her scabbard, so go ahead and make this brown real quick. But yeah, actually both of these models came in the same blister pack, so they're just D&D Pirate Minis that come as a pair. Like I was saying earlier, the reason I got these were, was it the Storm King's Thunder was the campaign we were running at the time, when we were actually meeting in person, and the character that I was playing was a changeling bard. And so when introducing herself, she'd often show up as this guy. But because changelings can, basically take on any person they want, it fit with the character, and then the rest of the time she would show up like this. And I never painted the minis. Until now. Of course, that was part of that, was when COVID happened and we didn't meet in person anymore, so there was no rush to get the minis painted anymore. We started playing online using Foundry. I think we started on Roll20 and then moved over to Foundry. Hey, Dream Big, Build Small, how are you doing tonight? But I figured since the D&D minis have been occupying space in my house and need to be painted, and I've gotten back into miniature painting again, I'm going to go ahead and sling paint on them and get them looking nice finally. I really like Foundry, but I don't understand how it works, so it's very frustrating sometimes. And we stream I stream our D&D sessions because we were all local at one point, and over the years, our current DM has moved to California. 2 of our players have moved to Florida. I've moved about half an hour away from the town we were all living in. One of the guys, and then 2 of the other guys live about an hour away. So, because we just spread out all over the country, we just found it was easier to find an online platform to use to continue playing D&D together. And we've been playing D&D together for 5 years or something like that at this point. We just finish a campaign and start another one. Okay. Now I want the Agraxer shade. But I do need to take a drink. finally got to the point where I start talking again, and just instant dry mouth, voice gets scratchy, you know, all the fun things of trying to talk while streaming. Because that's just how it works. Trying to throw a wash on here real quick. Get some of those details to come out on the boots and other leather bits. Fortunately, I've never spilled my Nuln Oil or my Agrax Earthshade, knock on wood. Or I guess sawdust, because this is not a real wood desk. Hopefully I never had to deal with that issue, but all those things happen at some point. Our Pathfinder group fell apart because they moved to different parts of the valley. Yeah, that is one of the hard parts about playing like any type of tabletop game, whether it's role-playing game like Dungeons and Dragons or Warhammer or anything like that. If you've got like the dedicated local group of friends, we get older, our lives go in different directions, and our group disappears. It's very frustrating, but that's just how it works out. But then you go to new areas and you meet new people and find new game stores and continue on your nerdy journey. Yep. I'm almost at the age where my kids are gonna start having kids. And I'm not looking forward to that. Like, no, you guys need to give me some time before you do that. I'm not ready to be a grandpa yet. Fortunately, none of them are, seriously in that area yet of their lives, so I'm not going to complain about it. And I'll say this over and over again, I love Citadel metallic airbrush paints for using with a brush. They work so nicely, straight out of the pot. Oh, you're out for the night? Alright. Have a good night. Get some sleep. How are you doing tonight, big nerd? Welcome in. And thank you for the follow. Sorry, I'm a little slow and distracted tonight. I was telling Nahali I've been spending way too much time outside in the sun getting cooked due to my job. Because I'm not a, world famous, award winning miniature painter yet, so I still have to go to work. Not that that's ever gonna happen. It would be fun though. It'd be a fun thing to say. Oh, what do you do for a living? I paint little pieces of plastic and people pay me to do it. I'm just knocking out some D&D minis that I've had sitting around my house for years. Finally getting around to painting them. Taking a break from my Warhammer army. Because I just finally finished my Brutalis Dreadnought that I've been working on for weeks, but I have a very limited amount of time to paint each week. So, because he is done now, I'm taking a break and working on some other things, and hopefully we'll get these D&D minis in one of the local game stores or a couple of local game stores under consignment, and maybe get my name out there as a local miniature painter and maybe pick up some commissions. Because if I'm making money while doing this, if I'm making money while doing this, I get more time to paint. Right now, this is my hobby time, so my painting time is limited. Yeah, I don't know if you've looked at my page. The Brutalis Mini is up there on TikTok, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. And then I went back and counted all the TikToks I did building it and painting it. And basically each TikTok is 3 hours worth of work. So by the time it was all said and done, I've got 50 hours into that Dreadnought. It's a ridiculous amount of time on one model. But I think it looks so good. Yeah. Because I'm doing a Black Templar army. I mean, I wanted a Dreadnought, but because the Templars are, very melee focused. I mean, what says melee better than this giant walking robot with talons on it? He just wants to walk up to you and give you a tickle. Sorry, just trying to finish the trim on this coat. It is not the easiest thing to paint. Right, nice on the Black Templars. If I make another Marine army, it's either I hate how live comments give you a limited number of characters. It's so frustrating. The size of the Emperor or Templars. Yeah. Yeah. I saw this many and I was like, yep, Black Templars it is. And that is the most badass Space Marine model ever. I want that army. That's, 100% how I chose what army I was going to play. Like back in 5th edition, I've got some old Necrons because I used to play in 5th edition. And then the Space Marine 2 game came out, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna start playing this game again on the tabletop version, and convince the missus to let me start, buying up chunks of plastic to sling paint on, and that's how I got started on my Black Templars. And apparently I picked like the best time to start painting Templars because now all of a sudden we're getting all sorts of new models. It's like, so that's exciting. Yeah. Like last week it was the Crusade Ancient. I'm like, okay, that thing looks cool. And then this week it was the Excurator, or however you say that, which is a new chaplain model. New chaplain, but not a chaplain. I was like, yep, both of those look cool. So I'm going to add those to my army. Whether or not I ever put them on a list, who knows? But I'm going to have the minis. I am still holding out hope that the Templars are going to, before the Codex comes out, the Templars are going to get like a special Sword Brethren Terminator unit, because I am not a fan of the standard Terminator helmets. So I'm hoping they get fancy Terminators just for the Templars, because I'm bougie like that. But we shall see what the future holds for new models. And this right here, trying to get these little spots that are underneath arms and whatnot, is why I do sub-assembly on my minis when I paint them. Because I like being able to flip individual pieces around and get them painted. That's why my Intercessor squad looks like this right now. No hands, no arms, just legs and a torso. Or no head. Just legs and a torso. They'll get glued together as I get the parts painted. Thank you for the follow, DM Dario. Appreciate it. Welcome in. Enjoy your stay. I'll try and be engaging with some sort of conversation. Not always the best at it, but it is what it is. But there are times where my mouth and my paintbrush can't seem to function at the same time. Can't stay long late here, insomnia. Well, I mean, I appreciate you stopping in and throwing me a follow. Getting very close to 500 followers finally. I've only been doing this TikTok thing for a year or so. But I, haven't consistently made content until like a few months ago. So it's my own fault. But it has been a fun journey, finding something that finally clicked for me to be able to, do regular streams with. But thanks for stopping in. Hopefully I'll see you around later. My paintbrush is doing funky things. Like, this is what metallic paints do to your brush. The end of it starts splitting out. It's very frustrating. It doesn't hold paint well. Just be aware of that if you get into miniature painting. Use specific brushes for specific paints. I try and tell people that, dude, I'm gonna do some painting myself. Good chatting, catch you later. Well, have fun painting, and I'll check out whatever projects you're posting, because that's what I do all the time. Just scroll on TikTok, see what everybody else is doing. Be like, oh, that's cool. I do need to darken her eyes up a little bit. But I need a slightly more precise brush to do that. So that should actually help her look like she has somewhat of an eye, or squinting. I'm going to take a little bit of Scrag Brown. That is not the brush I want. This is the brush I want. Actually, this isn't the brush I want either. I need to find the brushes that I bought to do this. But just gonna hit her hair a little bit of dry brushing. I think she came out all right for the quick little rush job I did tonight. I am going to give her some eyebrows real quick. That should help. Well, I just messed up her face. That sounds about right. But it's all good because we can take just a little bit of paint. All right. And then, where did my brush go? That's not what I want. That's not what I want. Where did I put the paint that I want? End up leaving too much stuff on my desk and then can't find the paint that I'm looking for. There it is. There we go. All right. That takes care of that. Let me put this back where I intended to. That is not what I want. This one. drop some Nuln Oil on the sword real quick. There we go. Much better. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Okay. Trying to catch some edge highlights here and there on the leather. Just kind of gives it a little bit more of a worn leather look. Catch a few spots here and there. There we go. I think we turned out all right on that one. For our little pirate princess. Okay. So there we go. We have a pair of painted pirates. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming in and watching tonight. I'm sorry it wasn't the most exciting stream, but it's all good. We had some fun. We got a couple of quick minis knocked out. This one finished up. This one, started with nothing. Got the whole thing painted tonight. So that was fun. But it is getting late and I am tired because I've had, some long days at work and been out in way too much heat. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there for the evening. We'll be back Thursday night. Hopefully I'll be a little better rested and interested in doing some more painting. So we'll be back Thursday night. I hope to see you all there. So until then, everybody have a good night.